What up, What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Cash Money Podcast with Coleman Thomason, where we cover all things DFS. And in today's episode, a very special episode, we're going to be talking about the 2021 Players Championship. Yes, that's Players, all caps. I don't know why the PGA does that, but that is just how it is. But anyways, we're going to be talking about my betting picks for this 2021 Players Championship. But before we get into all that juicy content, just a few things. First of all, thank you for the support and listening to this, for subscribing to the YouTube, for following the Twitter, everything. Thank you so much. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I cannot thank you enough. Next, if you too want to join the team and show your support, see the description or details of this episode, and you will find everything you need there. Everything will be linked in there. Now, without further ado, let's get into the show. Okay, so the Players takes place at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. The tournament will play as a par 72 measuring 7,189 yards. Not very long, with Bermuda grass greens. Famously, the stadium course, which is where this tournament will be played, is a Pete Dye design and one of the most iconic courses on the PGA Tour. It is an absolutely stunning golf course that features maybe the most recognizable hole in the history of golf, the iconic par 3, which is number 17. The defending champion of the Players, going back to 2019, is Rory McIlroy, but as many of you remember, the 2020 Players was canceled due to kind of the start of COVID. Golf took about a 2-month break. They did get in the first round of that tournament where Hideki Matsuyama led at 9 under par. It actually set a course record, so maybe Hideki will be an interesting bet this week. I personally won't go there, but I know many people will just because of that narrative. One of the main things I want to let you know, I want to tell you about before making any bets, before putting in that DraftKings lineup, is there's little to no advantage for big bombers at TPC Sawgrass. This course typically favors guys who are accurate off the tee and are precise with their irons, especially through approach, which is the main parameter I'm looking at this week. I want to have guys in my DraftKings lineup. I want to bet guys who I'm comfortable with their approach game, because we've seen it throughout the years. Approach is the key statistic that really matters at the Players. I'm really excited for this tournament. People call this the 5th major. It has an amazing field, and I just cannot wait to watch these guys compete Thursday through Sunday of this week. So let's get into my bets. I'm ready to get into this shit. Alright, so how I plan to do this is not go through every individual guy. I'm going to go through the guys who I think are worth talking about, and then I, of course, at the very end, I will say each one of my bets. So to start off, Dustin Johnson at 11-1, Bryson DeChambeau at 14-1, Rory McIlroy at 14-1, Jon Rahm at 16-1, Justin Thomas at 18-1, and Colin Morikawa also at 18-1. Full disclaimer, I really don't like to bet sub 20-1 golfers at majors, where this is the 5th major. Like I said before, this is a range I don't openly bet. I did bet Justin Thomas this morning at 20-1. I jumped on that number right away because I thought that was good value. I think Justin Thomas showed a lot at the concession at the WGC. I think his game's trending upwards. I think he is the best approach player on tour, and I think he's due for a win. I know he lost his grandfather not too long ago. I think the narrative's there. I think he wins this one for his grandfather. I locked in Justin Thomas this morning at 20-1. As far as these other guys on the board, again, I don't like to bet sub 20 players at the super elite fields. If you want to go to any of them, I don't mind any of them. The one who scares me the most right now is Dustin Johnson, just because he has been playing insane going back to last year. Dustin Johnson, what an amazing golfer that guy is. He scares me the most. Although he hasn't lit up this tournament in the past, his recent form has been amazing, and Dustin Johnson might very well run away with it. If one person runs away with it, it's going to be Dustin Johnson. But I will not be betting any of these guys minus Justin Thomas, who I got at 20-1. Moving on to the next range, Patrick Cantley, 20-1. I really like his game a lot. I think he has a great opportunity to really prove how great of a golfer he is this weekend. A second at the American Express, a third at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, 15th at the Genesis. He's been playing absolutely amazing golf. Patrick Cantley at 20-1, I don't hate. Webb Simpson also at 20-1. I think Webb Simpson's skill set fits this course as well as anyone. Webb Simpson is one of my favorite golfers on tour. I'd love to bet Webb Simpson. If you can get Webb Simpson at a little better than 20-1, I like it. I personally haven't bet Webb yet. I don't know if I'm going to make the move on that, but Webb is someone who I can see winning. The guy is just so consistent. He's such a great approach player. He's going to make putts. He's going to hit it down the middle. I love Webb Simpson. If you can find a number better than 20-1, I could get on that. Jordan Spieth at 25-1. How interesting is this? This guy, what an absolute roll Jordan Spieth has been on, and that's great for golf. Jordan Spieth draws so much viewership. You can look at the numbers. Any event where Jordan Spieth is contending on the weekend, the event's going to do much better. It's kind of the Tiger effect. 4 straight top 15 finishes. I will not be betting Jordan Spieth at the 25-1 number, but what an amazing story. Moving on to someone who I did bet, 33-1, Patrick Reed, a guy who thrives when the competition is at its best. I can really see Patrick Reed winning. I thought 33-1 was a high number. He is coming off a miscut at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I'm not going to think twice about it. 33-1 on a guy who has this much win equity, I can get behind. I'm betting Patrick Reed at 33-1. In this same range, a guy who I was all over last week at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, who was defending his title there, Terrell Hatton at 33-1. I think this number's too high. I think Terrell Hatton has top 5 win equity at this tournament. He's been absolutely killing it for the last 2 months. Winning in Europe, a top 5 in Europe. He didn't even play well last week, and he still finished 21st. Terrell Hatton is an elite player, and elite players win big events. I have Terrell Hatton at 33-1. Scrolling down the board a little bit, I saw him at 60-1 this morning. He's 40-1 now. Joaquin Neiman. What a player this kid is. He might be due to win. He's been playing that well. I could get behind Joaquin Neiman. I like the 60-1 better than the 40-1, but if that number's not available, I don't hate Joaquin Neiman at that 40-1 number. Going down, a player who I really like, Will Zalatoris at 50-1. What a story this kid is. Coming off the Korn Ferry Tour, he's playing in every event, and it seems like the guy just finished top 20. I think I like him more as a DraftKings play this week rather than someone who I'm going to bet to win the whole tournament. But wow, it would be amazing. It would be an amazing story if this kid somehow comes out and wins this thing. Scrolling down, we come to a couple guys who I don't mind. One being Abraham Ancer at 66-1. One being Adam Scott at 66-1 as well. Abraham Ancer, I'll start with him. He's a guy who, his skill set fits this course. He's not going to bomb it. He's not going to be one of those guys who has a wedge into every par 5. He's a guy who hits it down the middle. He's going to scramble. He's going to go up and down. And if he makes putts, he's a guy who can go extremely low. 66-1 is great value on Abraham Ancer. Adam Scott, another guy who, he hasn't been tearing it up lately, but he's a guy who's always around. He's a guy who's always going to be near the top of the leaderboard in these big events because that's what great players do. Adam Scott at 66-1 seems like a lot of value. Now we come across what's going to be the chalk of the week. Corey Connors at 80-1. He had an amazing weekend last weekend at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I think he's going to be popular. I'm not going to bet Corey Connor. I don't trust the short game at a course that really, you need to thrive in that. Louis Oosthuizen at 80-1. This is another guy similar to Adam Scott. He's going to be around. I really like Louis Oosthuizen as a DraftKings play. I'm not going to bet him. I could get behind it, but I'm not myself going to bet him. But in terms of a DraftKings play, this guy does nothing but top 10 in majors and in big events. He withdrew on a lot of people last weekend. That's going to have those people off of him. I think a low ownership DraftKings play. We'll talk about this in the DraftKings episode. But Louis Oosthuizen, I really like him a lot this week. Now getting into some bombs, the 100 to 1s that you could take a shot on, you never know. Starting off Billy Horschel, 100 to 1, that number seems a little high. Sam Burns, a guy who might be due for a breakthrough, also 100 to 1. I could get behind that very easily. Siwoo Kim, a guy who's won this tournament before, 100 to 1. He's a guy who's got a lot of win equity. You want those guys at 100 to 1. That would be some big money if Siwoo Kim got a win. Cam Davis, the Aussie, I really like his game. I don't know if his skill set fits here, but Aussie! Keegan Bradley showed a lot of signs last weekend. He's in this range. If the guy can make a putt, he hits it amazing. He's one of the best ball strikers on tour. If he sticks at 2 feet and he knocks down those little 2-foot putts, he's a guy who has some equity here. Justin Rose, I played him last weekend. He had a great first 2 days. Justin Rose, you little Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. He burned me so hard last weekend in multiple ways. Justin Rose, why don't you go make another commercial, buddy? Another guy who might be due for a breakthrough, kind of in the Joaquin Neiman, Will Zalatoris, Sam Burns type of guy. Russell Henley, very underrated player. His skill set fits this course very nicely. Russell Henley is someone who I might think about. Other than that, I don't have any interest. I will say Gary Woodland at 200 to 1 seems very high. Henrik Norlander at 200 to 1 seems very high. You can take a shot on those guys. Other than that, I don't like very much down here, as I think one of these super elites who are within the 40 to 1 range is going to win this event. So to summarize my bets for the 2021 Players Championship, as of right now I've made 3 bets. Justin Thomas at 20 to 1, Terrell Hatton at 33 to 1, Patrick Reed also at 33 to 1. I may add one more outright, or I may add one of these guys to a top 10, a top 5, something of that sort. Joaquin Neiman, Abe Ancer, Louis Oosthuizen, Russell Henley, or Sam Burns. I really like those guys, in addition to Thomas Hatton and Reed. So yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode of the 2021 Players Championship Betting Show. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe on YouTube, subscribe and rate on whichever podcast platform you're listening to, and for updates, follow my Twitter at TheCashMoneyPod. This will all be conveniently located in the description and details of the podcast. Thank you again for listening, and see you tomorrow for the return of the NBA. Bye.